bulaklak, pag-ibig na sa kanyang palad, nag-aalala, ganda't dilag, at sa kanyang lumi at ganda, dayuhan ay nahalina. Bayan ko, binihag ka, nasadlak sa dusa. Ibon bang may layang lumipad, hulugin mo at umiiyak, bayan pa kayang sakdal-dilag, ang di magnatang makalpas. Pilipinas kong minumutya, pugad ng luha at salita, aking adhika, makita kang sakdalaya. Bang may layang lumipad, hulungin mo at umiiyak, bayan pa kayang sakdal-dilag, ang di magnatang makaalpas. Pilipinas kong minumutya, pugad ng luha at salita, aking adhika, makita kang sakdalaya. Ako ay Pilipino, ang dugo'y maharlika, likha sa aking puso, at ika'y ay ganda. Sa Pilipinas na aking bayan, lantay ng perlas ng sinanganan, warin at ipon ng kayamanan ng may kapal. Bigay sa aking talino, sa mabuti ng laan, sa aking katutubo, ang maging mapagmahal. Ako ay Pilipino, ako ay Pilipino, isang bansa sanghiwa ang miniliti ko. Sa bayan ko't Manila, laan buhay ko't diwa, ako ay Pilipino, Pilipinong totoo. Ako ay Pilipino, ako ay Pilipino, taas noo kahit kanino, ang Pilipino ay ako.
Lord, heal our land against coronavirus, other diseases, calamities like floods, typhoons, earthquakes, and man-made destructions, terrorism, illegal drugs, corruption. Transparency TV presents a discussion of vital issues affecting public interests on legal, medical, government, education, tourism, business, sports, family, and religious matters. Hosted by broadcaster Mike Maghari. And now, your hosts. Good morning, Philippines, Western Visayas, the province of Negros Occidental, city of Bacolod, and of course, worldwide. We have a very important and relevant topic for today, Saturday, the fourth day of February 2023. You know, there are some powerful, super rich individuals who wanted to control and possibly reset the world. Most Christians all over the world call them globalists. Are they real or just a product of imagination? So, our topic for today is Christianity versus globalists. I have personally invited Reverend Dr. David Garcia, an American, and at 63 years of age, he has traveled to 50 different countries throughout the world and has been preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ for the past 40 years. He's a retired United States Air Force and business owner, full-time minister of the gospel. He is a graduate of Air University with a diploma in teaching. He is, among other things, a certified drug alcohol counselor and has completed his internship in Abbott Northwestern Hospital for the chemical dependency. He has a doctorate degree from Rema University in Miami, Florida, USA. Now he and his wife, Jasmine, traveled helping the poor and the needy, not only in the Philippines but also in other parts of the world, and also teaching about the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, Transparency is proud to have with us Reverend Dr. David Garcia. Reverend, welcome.
Thank you. Good to see you, Mike. Glad to be here today. Always exciting to share our thoughts and what's going on in the world today.
Of course, as of now, Mr. or Reverend David Garcia is with us, and possibly he can talk about globalism. Of course, there are so many who would say globalist doesn't exist, but Reverend Garcia will enlighten us more about this particular topic. Reverend?
It's one of the things, the word globalist, Illuminati, the word that we hear used, cabal, people that are non-elected officials that seek to control the events of the world and control the world and make it a one world system. This is why you always hear the word the reset
Mm-hmm.
and the global reset, what they're trying to do now. And so, yeah, we have, those are real. These are real people. It
Mm-hmm.
used to be that they were hiding in, like we say, public places. In other words, during the day, they pretend to be one thing, and then in the nighttime, they're actually someone else. So, one of the things that the world hasn't woken up to is
Uh-huh.
that there's there's a group of unelected officials that have been running the globe.
Unelected.
Unelected officials that have been running the globe, but very influential
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of influence economically and politically.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I said a while ago, there is that control, that globalists wanted to do. Now, part of it probably is the pandemic last 3 years ago. Tell us more about your information about this pandemic thing. Was it the work of the globalists? What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's, you know, if you go through that route and you say it was the work of the globalists, they'll come and say, no, that's not true because they don't want to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, they're the work of somebody. Somebody allowed that virus to be released from Wuhan in China. Who
Mm-hmm.
was that? No one's ever investigated it. No one's ever tried to find out.
Mm-hmm.
They have they have kept any investigation from going on.
Mm-hmm.
China never allowed anybody to go in to find out for real.
Yes.
So that raises the suspicion, the level of suspicion. Something is wrong. This pandemic, a lot of the information that is now being exposed is contrary to what they told us before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, there's a big problem. I think for me, the pandemic was an experiment.
An experiment.
An experiment, and the reason I say that is because they unleashed this virus throughout the world,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to see how much they could control, how much they could get people to submit to what they want. Because
Yes.
remember, the ultimate goal here is the one world system.
One world system.
That's correct. One world system where no country has borders.
Uh-huh.
There's open borders. There's only one government that tells the whole world what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even begin to imagine who are these people that think that way?
Mm-hmm.
These are people that are not Filipino citizens.
Mm-hmm.
They're not United States citizens. Some may be. But it goes to say, why is there a bunch of people or a group of people, and it's a very minority group of people, why do they want control of the entire world?
Mm-hmm. Why?
So the question
Mm-hmm.
is to control us because they believe they call themselves the elitists. They're the ones that know better for everyone. And guess what they use as a means to push that propaganda
Mm-hmm.
is climate control.
Climate control.
Yeah, that's their big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Climate control.
Mm-hmm.
There really has to be some independent research to really say whether the climate control is really something that is valid
Mm-hmm.
or not valid. I mean, how long has the Earth been around?
Mm-hmm.
And we still exist.
Okay. That was an initial remarks from our honored guest, Reverend Dr. David Garcia. We paused for a while. After the break, we'll be talking some of the people who are allegedly involved as globalists and what can we do in order to identify them and possibly what they have done for the world, our economy. No? We pause for a while. If you are in Bacolod and if you want to buy branded U.S. Products, you may visit Pearl, California, USA. Need to buy original products from USA? So easy. Bring your family with you at Pearl, California. Pearl, California have lots of latest bags, clothings for men like Penguin shirts, Louis Vuitton t-shirt, Calvin Klein and other brands to choose from. Shoes for men and women like Adidas, Nike, Skechers. Imported canned goods, other grocery products, vitamins, chocolates, and children toys at very affordable and cheaper prices. Also accept 3 months layaway plan. Basta US original products, Pearl, California is the right place. For inquiries, please contact Aloha or Jana at cell number 094-604-37580 or visit their display center at ground floor of North Point Atrium Building near Mercury Drug, fronting the North Medical Hub, North Drive, Bacolod City. Opens at 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Welcome back to our program, Transparency, right here on Kidlat Balita TV Online. We have with us Reverend Dr. David Garcia, and of course, our topic of discussion is about globalists. Are they real? And of course, I will ask Reverend Garcia if he can make mention about this World Economic Forum. I understand the chairman, he knows the chairman, and just recently they had a World Economic Forum meeting at Davos, Switzerland. So tell us about this World Economic Forum, Dave.
Well, it's one of the most interesting panels there is in the world. It's made up of influential people that are so rich, they dominate most of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they do is they invite heads of states, they invite other influential people to come to their meetings, and they actually tell these people, whether they're heads of states, whether they're presidents, prime ministers, um, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we expect you to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing way of conducting business because they can do that because they actually operate and hold the structure of the economic balance of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So many people go ahead and they accept whatever they say.
Mm-hmm.
And these are unelected officials.
Who is this chairman of the
This
World
Klaus
Economic
Schwab,
Forum?
he started this thing many years ago. He has been the only chairman in the whole time the World Economic Forum has existed. And he's a very wealthy guy that decided that him and the elites of this world, the rich, know better than everybody else.
Uh-huh.
So they figured a system which they use climate control.
Oh, climate control.
Yeah. And if you go to the World Economic Forum website, you go to a website,
Uh-huh.
you will see their sustainability on food, what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're even promoting now that only 10% should be meat of the world's food. Only 10%. Imagine if you made only 10% of the meat here in the Philippines, that you only allowed to eat 10%. That's your makeup of your meal. That's your makeup of your existence of your meat product. What would that do to this country who rely a lot on having the piggeries and having the beef and mostly the pork? That will reduce your pork by 90%.
90%.
90%.
So what about the livelihood of many who are dependent on
That's the
other
we're
foods?
saying. You're having this is a country who, if allowed, these people will tell this country this is what you must follow. They're that influential. They're that evil that they think they can do that throughout the world. And the reason why? Because of the money, the influence, political and economic.
So our local public officials will not heed to their control of the foods that we are about to eat.
Yeah, we hope not. We hope that's the case. But they really are pushing for this type of vegetarian products and then expect you to eat bugs, eat manufactured insects that they are creating. They're actually creating it now so that you will be satisfied, but they'll still have their own menu. They'll still have whatever they want to eat because they're the elitists and they know better. Amazing.
Can you make mention some of the supposed globalists in the world? Can you make mention an example?
Sure. I mean, you have them in an open forum. You're looking at people like the Rothschild family, the Rockefellers, Henry Kissinger. These are people that have been pushing the globalist mindset for many, many years. The Bushes, So yeah, you have these people that are rich, influential, and have been doing this for many years. They've been planning this for decades, and they're hoping now to submit their plan to the world.
What about our president here in the Philippines, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.? Do you think he's also being influenced by these powerful globalists?
Well, I don't think there's anyone not being influenced on the world stage by these globalists outside of people like Putin, China, Saudi Arabia. Some of these people that are pushing back. Some
Mhm.
of these governments that are pushing back and doing their own currency and now going back and saying, hey, we want to control our own affairs rather than be controlled by one world government. So there's some pushback. Now, as far as your government and your people, I don't want to comment on that because I'm an American citizen.
Mhm.
But I'm sure that there is some influence somewhere in government that allowed this kind of mentality. Matter of fact, I saw just recently
Mhm.
where the Congress had passed an HR legislation through Congress here, giving the WHO organization the right to dictate what goes on in the event of another pandemic to
Mhm.
your citizens. So I don't know how that works because you have a Congress who's given up your constitutional rights
Mhm.
to tell yourself what to do and when to do it, and has turned that right over to the WHO organization. So it's going to your Senate now. So the Senate approves and the President approves. Then you're giving up a lot of your freedom to people who claim that they have the best interests at hand. They don't. They have their best interests at hand, and
Mhm.
that is to control the
What is
public.
that particular legislation you were mentioning?
I don't have that in front of me here, but it is. You can look it up in the congressional
Uh,
site
is
here.
it about the International Crime Commission or
No,
to
no, it has to do with the WHO organization.
or Maharlika Wealth Fund? It's not
It's,
like
it's,
that.
the, it's, the, it's the World Health Organization. It's,
WHO.
yeah,
Uh,
WHO. It's giving the World Health Organization the right to come into the Philippines and dictate
mm,
how things will be in the event of
oh,
another pandemic.
oh. On that particular statement, I understand President BBM or Bongbong Marcos may lift the national health emergency on COVID this coming May of 2023. But earlier, the Secretary of Health or DOH officer in charge, Dr. Rosario Vergere, is trying to promote the COVID thing, no? The COVID pandemic, as if she wants
There's a
to.
conflict between the president and his own health secretary.
But they had just a meeting, the two of them, the Secretary of Health, DOH, and the President. And the President said on his public statement that the national health emergency on COVID must not be extended only until May this year. No,
Yeah, it's good.
about swab tests, about so many health restrictions that are no longer relevant will be lifted.
Good.
Hopefully, no,
Yeah,
because
good.
people in the Philippines suffer so much of this pandemic for 3 long years. The OIC of the DOH is trying to still continue
Yeah.
the pandemic thing in the Philippines. So many people are against this kind of restrictions and health protocols that are no longer necessary. So they are against it. Many people are against it because if you want to go to a hospital or to a clinic, you have to be subjected to swab test, which is very expensive on the part of the whole Filipino nation, no? The Filipino people in general.
Correct.
Oh, because many can't afford this particular, we call this protocol, unhealthy protocol.
Yeah.
No? Oo.
Unhealthy, about right.
Oo.
It's cost so much expenditures
Oo.
to the community, to the restaurants, to the business community.
Oo.
It's cost a lot of failure, and it's time we get over it and get back to normal.
Oo. This has got to be a normalized country. Uh, Manageable. The COVID thing is already manageable according to President Bongbong Marcos. But hopefully, on May, this will no longer be extended. You know?
Amen. That'd
Hopefully.
be great news. U.S. is the same way.
Uh-huh.
In May, they're gonna do away with the pandemic emergency for the pandemic.
Mhm.
So it looks like most of the countries are following suit.
Mhm. Now, since you were a retired official of the Air Force in the U.S., I understand EDCA is now being implemented in the Philippines. And of course, the U.S. Secretary of Defense is here in the Philippines, and President Bongbong Marcos has also welcomed him. And of course, the agreement between the Philippines and the U.S. about EDCA has already been effective. Now, there are so many called progressive groups or communist groups that are opposing this EDCA. Any comment,
Well, I
Reverend?
think you're going to find that in any type of society, there's going to be a group of people that will oppose protectionism or to be protected because they don't want your country to be protected by a greater force because their whole idea, especially the communists, is to rule, is to take over, is to be resistance against the government.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not surprising that they would not like that.
Oh, progressive, but progressive in a sense that they're already being considered terrorists
Yeah.
by the intelligence community all over the world, no? Um, Progressive, they are using the word progressive, but they are always opposing the moves of the government, especially on defense, you know. Uh, Now, we pause for a while. Our time is already 27 minutes after 9 o'clock on our program, Transparency. In Talisay City, here in Negros Occidental, the Talisay is celebrating its 25th charter anniversary. We call this Pasidungog Festival in the city of Talisay. It is one of the tourist attractions in the province of Negros Occidental, and the activities will start on Monday. That will be February 6th until the 11th of this month. No? We again pause for a while for another important reminder from Pearl, California, USA. Need to buy original products from USA? So easy. Bring your family with you at Pearl, California. Pearl, California have lots of latest bags, clothings for men like Penguin shirts, Louis Vuitton t-shirt, Calvin Klein and other brands to choose from. Shoes for men and women like Adidas, Nike, Skechers. Imported canned goods, other grocery products, vitamins, chocolates, and children toys at very affordable and cheaper prices. Also accept 3 months layaway plan. Basta US original products, Pearl, California is the right place. For inquiries, please contact Aloha or Jana at cell number 094-604-37580 or visit their display center at ground floor of North Point Atrium Building near Mercury Drug, fronting the North Medical Hub, North Drive, Bacolod City. Opens at 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Program Transparency right here on Kidlat Balita TV Online from Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Philippines. Now, we have with us Reverend David Garcia, and of course, we'll be asking him about an ideology of the globalists because the rebel groups here in the Philippines have their own ideology. And of course, the globalists have their very own also. And we can request Reverend Garcia to say about this ideology of the globalists.
You know, that's one of the most important topics because ideology makes up their thoughts, makes up their reason, makes up the existence. So when they are out there and they have a message for the world, the ideology that they are giving to the world is so distorted and clouded with
truth,
Mhm.
but behind it is another agenda
Uh-huh.
that they intend to put forth.
Mhm.
So I think we were talking earlier before we were online about the lies. Can you repeat that?
Okay. According to Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda chief of the late dictator Hitler, he said, and I quote, "A lie told once remains a lie, but a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth." So,
That's an amazing that's an amazing comment because if you know a liar when you see him.
uh-huh.
I know one liar in particular here in this city, and shamefully he has to be a minister, but he's a liar. So when you know he's talking about something, he's lying. What happens when a lie? You repeat it so many times that the people don't go back to research it to determine whether it's the truth.
Yes.
So then you have these people that are constantly sending a message. They know fully that it's a lie, but they want you to accept it as the truth. The moment you accept it as the truth, they have you.
They have you already.
They have you. You're hooked. You're brainwashed. So what happens in a society like this? For instance, there was never a test that was so conclusive and long term to determine whether the mask actually help you from getting COVID.
Yes. Oh.
Okay? Or let's just say now that they're saying about the injection,
Vaccines. Yes.
the vaccine.
Uh-huh.
The vaccine was supposed to help you not get COVID. Infected,
Yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
But look what they're saying now. Oh no, the ones that got the vaccine can get infected.
Can still get
infected. So what was the use of the vaccine?
It's only good for a few.
A few months, maybe a year or so. Then you got to go back and keep getting shots.
But do you think it's really reliable?
No, I don't. Not with what Pfizer has commented. Because if you look at the European Council meeting that was done months ago, the lady from Pfizer, the vice president from Pfizer, actually admitted that they had no results where the actual vaccine was able to resist COVID. So that's big. I mean, for the company to say, "Hey, we don't have a test that shows that."
But China, I understand, bought so many vaccines from Pfizer.
Well, I think the whole world bought a lot of vaccine from Pfizer. And you have to start learning how to put the dots together. We have been so ignorant to what's really been going on in this world. Who actually comes up with these things? Where did this get produced at? How is it possible that a man-made virus, which is patented, because if it's patented, that means it's man-made.
Patented?
It's patented. So you have a patent on this. You have a patent on Ebola. You have a patent on all these rare diseases. Where did they come from? Man-made.
Man-made.
It's man-made. So the U.S. government, as well as other governments in collaboration with people that are looking to control the world, let's say, will use something like this as an experiment to see. I believe that this was an experiment.
This COVID thing is an experiment?
I believe it was. Why? Because the way it came out, country to country to country to country. And so there's a lot more involved that people don't understand, especially if you're not American.
Do you think it's really money-making?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think that it's already been proven that it's man-made, and it's a money maker, and it keeps the pharmaceutical people in absolute control with the money. Remember, this world moves by influence. So when you have an ideology that all they're looking for is to control the world, don't you think they're going to do something in order for them to create a problem? And then the same people that create the problem say, "Oh, we have the solution."
So they offer solutions.
They offer the solution of the problem they created.
They created a problem, and they have the solution.
And that's been the way they have been brainwashing the world. And so it's time that we wake up. There's a great awakening
You know, Reverend Garcia, for the first time in the history of the Philippines, that a kilo of onion
Yeah.
reached 700 plus pesos, no? A kilo,
Yeah,
no?
kilo.
It is
Yeah.
more expensive than a kilo of, shall we say, meat,
Yeah.
chicken, pork, and other
Yeah. And I'm
food
glad you brought
products.
that up. Think about that for a minute, what you're saying.
Mhm.
That onions, why onions?
Mhm.
It's an experiment.
Onions
It's
experiment.
an experiment. They're
Garlic,
reducing.
now garlic is
And
already becoming expensive.
they're going to start. Why? Because what they want to do is control the way that you get your product,
Mhm.
either by making a shortage or by making it so expensive you can't afford it no more. See, that's a globalist game.
You made mention earlier on our interview that just 10% of our food requirements will be.
With protein will be meat. You can look it up. It says it exactly just what I said on the World Economic Forum. And they said, oh, because it's going to be healthier for you. It'll be better for the environment. Since when?
Uh-huh.
You know?
So many people will be adversely affected. Their
Yes.
means of livelihood.
Yeah.
No? Those who are producing
Yeah. The
basic
the
foods.
pigs, and the amount of meat and food that's required. My country in Puerto Rico, we're the same. We have a piggery. We live on the hogs and pigs, and that's one of the sources of meat that we use there. Imagine they coming into our country and saying, "Hey, you can only 10%."
Oh. So 10%.
So you eliminate 90% of your meat sources, and you have to go to plant source, or you got to do what we're telling you to do. We're going to eat bugs, and you're going to eat manufactured GMO and crops that we are producing.
Manufactured GMO, it is against health.
Yeah, but that's what they want. Look it up in their site. These people are so clever. They've been doing it, and they use the nice words to make it look like it's really for your health.
It's really deception.
It's a deception.
Mhm.
It's what we call an angel. It looks like an angel of light, but wrapped around darkness.
Now we shift to my introduction to you is that you are a reverend. You have been preaching the word of Christ in so many countries of the world. No, tell us your mission. I understand you're preaching in different churches in the Philippines and
Yeah.
in other parts of the world. What made you convince Christianity?
Well, we have a hopeless world.
Mhm.
You see so much darkness, so much sin, so much evil in this world. If there's evil, they must be good.
Mhm.
So you have to weigh what's good and what's evil.
Yes.
There only Christianity provides a unique answer to that.
Mhm.
It goes all the way back from Adam
Mhm.
all the way to Jesus. And so God, the ultimate creator of heaven and earth, created us all but gave us a will.
Mhm.
I'm going to put you on this earth, and I'm going to let you decide who are you going to serve, either good or evil.
So
But-
the globalists are evil.
Very evil.
Very,
Very evil. I could say many things, but I won't here, because pay attention to the news. Pay attention to the news coming from America.
Mhm.
Pay attention to the news that they don't tell you. In other words, there's now alternative news. Why is there alternative news? Because the censorship on the real news, it's really, really happening.
Censorship.
Censorship. You're not getting in your news, where there's CNN, CNBC, some of your channels that are owned by the globalists. All right. You're not getting all the news. You're getting what they want you to know, what they want you to hear. So you have to have some type of, research to get the news to what's really happening.
So world media is censored.
Yeah, a lot of the media, it's all corrupt. It's meant to tell you what you want to be heard, and what you're supposed to believe is to brainwash and condition you to a certain narrative. You see, there's a war going on right now. We know there's wars going on in the world, But the real war is called the ideology war. It's the war,
Ideology war.
ideology, because it's what we want you to believe versus what Christianity is telling you is the truth. So you got two classes of two worlds. They're over here, they serve Satan. And so the dominant creator of this world is darkness and evil. It was back in the time, listen to this very carefully. Back in the time, the witches and the globalists and the Illuminatis and the people that sacrificed babies all stayed underground. They'd be your neighbors, you wouldn't know it. They looked like regular people because they had to keep their secrecy. Now they're no longer secret about it. Now they're telling you, hey, we're globalists and we're going to take over. How is that so? How can that be permitted when only, 1% of these people are globalists and want to take 99% of the whole world? Where are the people power?
Where are the people power?
Where are the powers with the church? Where is the church in all of this?
Now, speaking about churches, religions, I understand the Catholic Church here in the Philippines is very active. And what do you think? Are they good, or are they for globalists? Or what do you think? Are they openly attacking globalism?
Well, I think that it depends what country you're in
The Philippines? Because
If-
we
if-
don't
if-
have...
if you're here in the Philippines, I mean, I got a lot of good Catholic Christian friends, which I believe are very committed and love the Lord, and they really believe that they have the truth, and that's good. As some Christians, you have Christians in the church that are not Christians. They live swapping wives. They live,
Oh.
they live lying, cheating, drunkenness. The same thing you see in society. So you can't just say whether the whole Catholic Church. I think it's important to know that you got to know who your leaders are.
Who your leaders
Who
are.
your leader are. It's time for us to do some research. I'm gonna wait to comment on this, because later on, as you begin to become awakened to the truth, then you find out, wow, what they're telling me is not true. And so much rumors, when you think about children, let's talk about children. And there's 8 million children missing throughout the world every year.
8 million?
8
children.
million. That's the statistic.
How are you able to know
That's the statistics. That's what the statistics showed us in America. There's 8 million. In the United States alone, there's over 800,000 children missing.
But all over the world, 8 million.
8 million. I just read a study here in the Philippines where 300,000 children are missing every year. Where are these children going? Who is taking our children? We have to start asking the questions.
The rebel groups?
I believe so. I believe that some of these people are so satanic involved. They take our children and they sacrifice them. They use them as sex slaves, human trafficking. There's a whole different world in the dark world that we are blinded to and exists, but we're not told about it because they want to operate in public but in secret places. And we have that all over the world. So we got to start asking questions. What's going on with these children? Where is all this going? Why is it like this?
Our leaders, like the president, doesn't give a concern or...
Well, I don't know too many leaders. Now, President Trump, while he was president, signed an executive order to stop human trafficking and children trafficking, and it was signed in 2017.
Here in the Philippines, we don't have death penalty.
Yeah.
We are too democratic here in the Philippines. There is no
Yeah,
order,
yeah.
no accountability
No
in
accountability.
public office.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's something that, you as a society have to determine whether you want to continue to go that direction or you want to set a new standard. And that's up to the people to rise up and begin to declare what they want for their country.
The standard here is that you elect government officials who can give you money. Money is always the most important part of
Yeah.
the daily lives, no?
Yeah.
And of course, in election, you cannot win the election if you don't have money. So money is everything
It's the
for.
mover and the shaker, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
So,
it is. And that's why it's so important to understand. If money at this level is so important, imagine money at a world level,
uh-huh.
at the level of the world, how important it is.
Mhm.
Because that's what influences people and governments.
Money in itself is not evil.
No, of course
The
not.
love of money
It's the love of money.
is the root of all
That'll take you
evil.
down a rabbit hole in a minute.
Our time is 9:46 in the Philippines. Here on Transparency over Kidlat Balita TV Online. And of course, as I said a while ago, Talisay City is holding its 25th charter anniversary, headed by Mayor Neil Lizares. And of course, they're so busy because the activities of the celebration will start on Monday, February 6 until 11. So most of the activities are centered in the Talisay City Public Plaza. No? Sa aton nga mga pumuluyo here in the province of Negros Occidental, for those who wish to see for themselves the activities of Pasinugog 25th anniversary in Talisay City, you may visit Talisay. No? Okay. Our time is 9:47 in the Philippines. So we are talking about globalism and of course the ideology of globalists as being stated by Reverend David Garcia. And of course, we have to ask him more about the involvement of globalists in banks or central bank here in the Philippines and in other financial centers of the world.
That's a good thing to bring up because most people believe that the central bank of your country is owned by the government.
Yes. So
But that's not true.
why?
Every central bank in the world and the Federal Reserve is owned by a private entity. These are privately owned.
Privately owned?
They're privately owned by the Rothschilds. Yes, the Rothschilds. These people, it's all privately owned. Now, what they have done is work an agreement that wherever there's a central bank, it allows your government to oversee the bank and allows your government to pick who the chairman of that bank is. But the money involved in those banks is all private money.
So, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's got Central Bank of the Philippines, Banco Central de la Filipinas. But it's not Banco Central of the Philippines. It's for the Philippines. And let's get that straight. They're privately owned.
So many Filipinos doesn't know about it.
Yeah, well, the same thing with the Federal Reserve in the United States. Because it says Federal Reserve does not mean it's owned by the government. The Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury are two different entities. U.S. Treasury belongs to the United States. The Federal Reserve belongs to the Rothschilds. This is a private enterprise. And so often they play with the words in order to get you to believe something that's not real.
The money that is being borrowed by the Philippine government comes from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
Well, those are all part of the central bank. Those are all part of the central bank system, all owned by the same people. So when you borrow money from the central bank, and when you borrow money from the International Monetary Fund, you're borrowing somebody's money. In other words, when you go to a bank now and you get yourself a car loan, a business loan, or a regular house loan, whose money are you borrowing?
Private money.
It's private money. Why? Because it's the money that me and you and your other constituents and all the people deposit in the bank. So the money that the bank gets, they turn around and the government gives them so much money in addition to that to subsidize the bank in some cases. And then they loan it out. They pay you a little bit interest and they loan it out for a big interest.
Bigger interest.
Bigger interest.
So this Rothschild, family of Rothschild is a super rich family.
Very rich. It's estimated that the Rothschilds are probably worth anywhere from 500 billion to $1 trillion. I think it's probably more than that. And although it's hard to say because these people hide their money and their wealth very well.
I have read an article that the Rothschild started banking business and the loan making business, no?
Yeah,
with
that's how they
interest.
started. Yeah, that's how they started.
Oh,
The interesting thing about it is if people really understood what the way the U.S. is set up and how the monetary system is set up, people think that the fiat dollar, which is the central bank dollar, is backed up by oil. It's not backed up by gold. It used to be backed up by gold. It's no longer
but
for
the
years now.
Marcoses own so many gold.
Yeah, but it's not backed up by gold. It's backed up by oil. And so,
Oh,
that used to be money used to be backed up by gold.
uh-huh.
No longer.
No longer.
So now that's why the Philippines, when you buy oil on the world market, you have to convert your peso into U.S. dollars, and you have to buy the oil in U.S. dollars. The fiat money.
But the gold disappeared already.
No, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. There's many countries that have been stockpiling gold.
So our main conversation is about Christianity versus the globalists, no?
So
Fight
where do we?
between good and evil?
Yeah, where do we stand in Christianity? See, this is the problem. Where is the voice of the church? If you're a realist like I am, you have to read the scriptures for what it says. And Jesus said the gates of hell should not prevail against the church of Jesus Christ. Should not prevail.
Yes.
Well, should not prevail is pretty inclusive. And it seems like the church, some, I won't say all, but especially here in Bacolod, there are some churches who sit and all they promote is the propaganda of the world.
Propaganda of the world.
Yeah. So if the world comes out and says, Mr. Suave says, hey, we're going to take over the government. The World Health Organization is going to do whatever they want in your country. We're going to institute a one world system. Well, guess what they do? They get up and preach the same propaganda that these idiots are preaching.
So some local churches here, including Catholics, are not really vocal or
they're not vocal.
Against,
they have to stand against it. They must resist. These are not times that we lay down and bow out and say, hey, it's over. Jesus is coming back tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen? Persecution's coming. And draw fear into the people's lives. But there has to be a better result. Because God is not a dead God. God is not a dumb God. God is not an evil God. And so if he says that he protects us and he keeps us, then why are we going over here preaching all of this propaganda, how we're going to get killed, how we're going to have persecution? All of this is going to go on against the church. Well, before that happens, if that ever happens, God's going to show himself to be the God.
The God of all.
The God of all. He let Egypt know, didn't he? He let Egypt know when Egypt thought they could keep his people. And when Moses came on the scene, and he said, let my people go. And it took 6 times before Pharaoh decided, I better quit while I'm still ahead or still alive. And then God ultimately killed all of them inside the Dead Sea when he flooded them, the entire army and all the officials from Egypt.
So that was a very inspiring words from our honored guest, Reverend Dr. David Garcia. Now, before we part with our interview with him today on transparency, because he is really very transparent, I understand he's also a good cook, no? And he specializes in Mexican dishes, no?
Yeah.
Tell us about your previous business here in Bacolod and your incoming business
new venture. Well, at one point we were talking about going back to the U.S. for a season. So we switched plans. God had some other plans for us. And so what I decided to do is we were, Los Tres Amigos, was Mexican restaurant, real authentic Mexican food.
Tres Amigos.
Los Tres Amigos.
Oh.
And that was the name of our restaurant. And so when the pandemic came, we regulated ourselves just to do takeouts, you know. And so that in itself became kind of difficult because you can't run a big business with just on takeouts.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so we decided that we closed down, reorganize,
No.
and now we're going to launch again, and it's going to be Amigos Mexican Cantina.
Amigos Mexican Cantina.
Yeah, in other words, friends, Mexican Cantina or cafe.
Oh.
And what we're going to do is we're going to cater to the lunch crowd.
Lunch crowd.
The lunch.
So
The crowd that the people that know us and know our great food and our excellent service, they can now be able to come for lunch for a season.
Oh, where?
So we're gonna open up at the same place, Pala Pala, 18th Street, Pala Pala. Nonoy Lopez, owner of the restaurant, and his family. And we're gonna be on the side. We have a really nice place that we're building now, and it's being redecorated. And so you're gonna be able to have the option both of Mexican and native Filipino food. Yeah. So it's the first time the two restaurants are gonna collaborate with each other to allow one side to order from one and one side to order. And so it's gonna be kind of fascinating how we are gonna pull that off.
That will be on.
We're gonna open up. We're gonna have the first grand opening on 1 March.
March 1st.
March 1st, yeah.
March 1st.
So that's coming pretty soon. So we invite the public. It's gonna be open at 11 o'clock.
Again, the name is
18th Street, Pala Pala, and we're going to be called Amigos Mexican Cantina.
Amigos Mexican Cantina.
Yeah,
with
and
the
so
cook, Reverend.
Yeah, I'll be right there. We got some great trained cooks, and that we are teaching now and doing a great job. My wife's family been working with me for years in the restaurant and know how to run it.
Your good friend, Mr. White. I know.
Which one?
Who's your partner?
Oh yes, Mr. Pete Peterson. He has been with us for a long time, and so we're gonna just collaborate with each other, put out the best product we can, give the Filipino an amazing lunch.
He has been in the Philippines for many years.
Yeah, he's been in the Philippines for a good 12 years himself. Yeah, I've been here almost 16, 15 years in that area. And so hopefully this is going to be an amazing, we hope to open 3 different branches. But the first one will be 1 March at 18th Street.
Now our time is running short. Your parting message to the good people of the Philippines, the world, through YouTube and Facebook channels?
Well, I think that the most important thing is that we become awakened. We become awakened. We start doing our own research. We start finding out what the truth really is. We can't just rely on the propagandists. We can't just rely on people that don't know what they're talking about, or people that have, an agenda behind the agenda. We've got to start learning to do it for ourselves. We need to get the truth. We need to know it. And we need to ask God to open our minds to what His plan is. Remember, the devil always has a plan, but God always has a better plan.
Okay. Thank you so much. On that note, our transparency will end. And of course, our words of wisdom for today comes from Joseph Goebbels. He said, and I quote, "A lie told once remains a lie, but a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth." Ang inyong alagad, Mike Maghari, nagkasiling thank you so much. Mabuhay ang Pilipino. This has been another presentation of Transparency TV, broadcasting live on Facebook from Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Philippines, through the facilities of Kidlat Balita TV Online. Be with us again every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9 to 10 a.m.